Today I'm going to discuss a topic which probably deserves a much deeper study than just a YouTube video. Startsy, Orthodox Christian spiritual elders. They have influenced generations of individual believers, Orthodox theology, and the public image of the Church. Some of them have been canonized, recognized as saints. Some were believed to be saints in their lifetime, but others were persecuted by the state or even by the Church herself. The very concept of an elder is uncertain and debatable. There is no formal theological concept or church law that would define an elder. Just like the English translation, the word starets literally means an old man, and the female equivalent, staritsa, an old woman. However, although most of the elders are literally old, the concept is not strictly linked to age. What is emphasized is their experience in life, in faith, and immense spiritual authority. Many elders are believed to have miraculous abilities, such as healing, blessing, comforting, foreseeing the future, and intercession before God, mostly in the power of their prayers and fasting. Many elders, especially in the old times when the media was not as well developed, were surrounded by the aura of rumors and legends. People believed things about them that they themselves had never claimed. Some saw their role as preaching sermons, giving advice, providing spiritual guidance, providing comfort, listening to believers' grievances, and engaging them in prayer and fasting. Depending on the clerical position and role, some elders might also offer holy sacraments, especially confession. The word of mouth, however, often attributed healing and prophetic powers to elders, including, for example, the ability to cure someone's infertility or help with the right life choice. Many testify to the countless miracles and prophetic wisdom of elders, reciting their sermons, advice, and instruction in faith. Now, who are these people? What can we say about them apart from their spiritual authority and old age? The phenomenon of elders was born in the tradition of monasticism, pious asceticism, and hesychasm, which is a mystic Orthodox Christian tradition based on constant self-reflection, solitary isolation, and uninterrupted Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Thus, even though not all elders are monks and nuns, they are strongly associated with the tradition of Orthodox asceticism. There is no such position as an elder within a formal church hierarchy. Historically, such people most often were monks and nuns, or otherwise ascetic, holding quite a low or no formal position in the church. There are, however, also high-ranked priests or bishops recognized as elders, such as heads of monasteries. Some married priests have even been regarded as elders, such as priest Ioan of Kronstadt. Many known elders are themselves hesitant to acknowledge this role. For example, highly revered Archimandrite Ioan Christianin once said that there were no elders anymore, just old people. Just like there is no clarity with the definition of an elder, there is a notable lack of recognition of elders from the church leadership. Elders who are loyal to the church leadership and well positioned within the formal structures, such as monks and priests, can exercise their spiritual authority relatively freely. Their superiors, bishops or head of monasteries, accommodate pilgrims and other visitors to the elders and engage them in the liturgical life of a parish or monastery. However, history knows many elders who either held no position in the church or were critical towards the church hierarchy and her leadership in particular. Such elders have been largely ignored or, if they caused problems, shunned and even prosecuted by the church or by the state. Some of the recent examples of elders. I have already mentioned the Archimandrite of the Pskov-Pecherem monastery, Ioan Christianin. Father Ioan dedicated his whole life to the church despite harsh persecutions in Soviet times. In 1950 he was sent to a Gulag camp and served 5 of his 7-year sentence. In 1967 he entered the Pskov-Pechory monastery, where he lived for 39 years until his death in 2006. He quickly earned a reputation as a spiritual leader and started receiving believers from all over the country, who came for his advice and blessing. He remained loyal to the church and rejected many attempts to engage him in schisms and rebellions against the church leadership. In my video about the COVID pandemic and Russian Christians, I talked about schema hegemon Sergi Ramanov. This infamous monk gained notoriety for his radical fundamentalist views and his involvement in a series of scandals that ended with his imprisonment. As a young man, he served in the Soviet police, but got fired for serious misdemeanors. Later, he committed murder and was put in prison for 13 years, where he converted. After prison, he started a monastic life and in 2001 was tonsured. Sergi was involved in a series of controversies and scandals. His ordination as a priest was later disputed because the canon law does not allow the ordination of murderers. As a head of 2 monasteries, he was accused of abusing his power and brainwashing pilgrims into destroying their passports, leaving their families, and selling their homes to benefit the monastery. After his tonsure into the Great Schema, Sergi unfolded his public ministry. He preached radical anti-Semitic and fundamentalist ideas. After his strict rejection of any pandemic restrictions in 2020, he attracted the attention of law enforcement. Eventually, the resistant monastery was stormed and Sergi was apprehended and sentenced to prison again. Sergi attracted many followers, including some celebrities and politicians. His radical views and eventual prosecution won him a reputation as a persecuted elder. However, both the official church that excommunicated him and most of Russian society see him as a troubled individual and a fundamentalist zealot rather than a spiritual leader. The third case of a contemporary elder is Schema Archimandrite Ili. This is a rather disturbing and controversial case of a career monk who was pushed to a status of elder by the church leadership. Ili was appointed a personal spiritual advisor to Patriarch Kirill. Before his death in March 2025, Ili was involved in scandals with politicians and businessmen who benefited from the name and reputation of the weak and elderly monk. Eventually, one of them was even indicted for the kidnapping of Father Ili. Ili met future Patriarch Kirill in the spiritual academy. Both were disciples of a powerful bishop, Nikodim Rotov, who tonsured and ordained them. See a video about Nikodim on my channel. Ili earned his reputation for spending 13 years in St. Panteleimon Monastery on Mount Athos. He was sent there for diplomatic reasons to secure the active Russian presence in Athos that was weakening during the Soviet anti-religious regime. Patriarch Kirill probably appointed Ili his spiritual advisor because he knew him well for many years and could trust him. Besides, despite Ili's spiritual authority, Kirill knew that personally he was very loyal and obedient. Most of Ili's video interviews are brief and not very coherent, while his written documents are much more extensive and articulate. From all this, we can safely assume that this career monk was artificially pushed to the position of an elder, an appropriate one for the Patriarch's own spiritual advisor, but, at the same time, loyal and obedient enough not to interfere with the Patriarch's public views and decisions. I have mentioned that there have been not only male elders, but also Startsy, the elder women. Some of the most notable female elders were Ksenia from Petersburg and Matrona from Moscow. Ksenia Petrova lived in the 18th century. She was the wife of a high-ranking military man, Colonel Andrei Petrov. When Ksenia was 26, her husband died. This hit her so hard that she sold her estate and started the life of a fool for Christ, Yurodivaya. She was dressed as her dead husband and claimed she was him and that Ksenia herself had died. She was spending her days wandering about the streets of St. Petersburg and nights in prayer. Ksenia lived this way for 45 years until death. She was also actively involved in church life, and it is believed that she actively gave spiritual advice, prophesied, and prayed over people around her. In 1988, she was canonized as a saint. Saint Matrona of Moscow, born Matrona Nikonova, is known for her healing abilities, prophecies, and alleged influence on Stalin. She was born at the end of the 19th century, and her exact biography is unknown. She was born blind and grew up in a peasant family. At the age of 17, Matrona also became partially paralyzed and could not walk anymore. Very devoted Christian, moving to Moscow after the revolution, she gained a reputation as a spiritual elder. She received dozens of visitors every day, gave them advice, healed them, and prayed over them. In the 1990s, after the popularization of her life story, many pilgrims started attending her grave, and eventually, in 1997, she was canonized as a saint. The legend and non-canonical icon of Matrona and Stalin claims that in the early days of the war, Stalin sought her advice. Matrona prophesied that Moscow wouldn't be captured and Stalin would not leave Moscow in the face of a Nazi threat. To sum up, spiritual elders, Startsy and Staritsi, are an expression of a genuine lived faith. This concept is not institutionalized by the Church and has no formal recognition in the Church structure. Sometimes elders serve as mediators between everyday believers and the Church. Sometimes they cover some very practical niches, like healing, spiritual support, or advice on practical matters. And sometimes elders are rebels against the church power and formal structures. In many cases, elders are a combination of those things. Please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all next time.